I want to see people grow and expand.
Yeah.
That came from the experience of having pain, but then changing the way I thought about it over time, and now using it as empowerment. And so I think if someone's going to win, that is the number one skill they're going to have to learn, is the ability to shift how you think when most people would go, oh, we're done, or this is terrible, or I'll never survive this. Like, that can't be your way of thinking if you're going to be a thriving, successful human being.
Hey, this is a quick shout out from one of our awesome sponsors. Check this out. Hey guys, this episode is sponsored by Tranquil Turtle Massage. Tracy over there, the founder, she's a small town girl from Montana, loves God, loves her family, loves her friends, loves working out, fishing, and camping. She has a passion for helping those in need and enjoys being creative with woodworking, crocheting, healthy baking, pottery, and cooking. Look, she began her massage journey back in 2010, where she graduated from massage school up in Anchorage, Alaska. She specializes in her signature massages, the Hanu Infusion and the Hanu Ashiatsu, as well as the Gua Sha and manual lymphatic drainage. If you're looking for a massage specialist and someone who could get you feeling good, go see Tracy down at Tranquil Turtle Massage. And while you're there, check out CDA Microblading, offering Coeur d'Alene's best tattoo brows, plasma fibroblast, tightening, and PMU services right there in the heart of downtown Coeur d'Alene. Make sure you book your appointment at pnwmobilemassage.com. Tom, your husband, your dad, world-renowned expert and thought leader in leadership communication and peak performance. Man, you're America's #1 high-stakes performance coach, author of the Breakthrough Code. You're also the CEO and founder of Thomas McCarthy Associates, and as well as Fire Up Training and so much more, man. Thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate that.
Great to be with you, Erik. Really excited about this.
I love to kick things off by going back a bit. Like, where did you grow up? What was childhood like for you?
So I live in California now, in San Diego, and I grew up the other end of the country.
Okay.
My dad was an Army officer. He was a West Point graduate, young Army officer. He had, at the time, he had me. I was 2 years old, and then I had a 1-year-old brother, and he was sent to Vietnam. And then while he was in Vietnam, my mom was pregnant before he left. A third brother was born. And so we grew up right outside of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Now, unfortunately, my father was killed in Vietnam. So we ended up growing up there in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I don't know if you know where that is, but right next to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I went to college at University of North Carolina, and then I got out. I got a job with a Wall Street firm. I did well with that for a couple of years, but it wasn't really, I wasn't digging it. And I saw this guy on TV one morning on the Today Show. His name was Tony Robbins, and he'd just written a book called Unlimited Power. And so I got to read this book, and I was into that already, but read the book. And then I moved out here. I literally left my clients, people gave them to other brokers to be able to, financial planners to be able to manage. But I moved out here, and I was involved in running his company for a couple of years, like 3 years, running all sales and marketing for him. And then I started my own company. And once I got out here, I said, I'm not leaving. So that's how I got out here.
Okay. Wow, man, what a cool story. And Tony Robbins, like, I mean, I grew up listening to Tony Robbins, and then ironically then found out about Jim Rohn and Les Brown, man. Those guys are like the personal development space for me ever since I was a kid. Like, those guys are the ones that I always looked up to. You know, when I look at your resume, though, I mean, everything you've touched was gold, basically, on your resume. You know, you went from youngest investment advisor over there at Prudential to being recruited by Tony Robbins and things like that. But not everything is perfect in life. Like, for you, what's that greatest lesson that you learned on your journey?
Yeah, and that's important, I think, for everybody listening. Not everything I touched was gold. Totally. and nobody is like that. I don't care who you are. You know, there's challenges. I mean, you know, you may be the richest person on the planet like Elon Musk, but now he's getting sued because, you know, he didn't buy Twitter and all the other different things he's got going on. So nobody has a life where everything they touch turns to gold. There are people, though, that and this is what I aspire to be, and I think everybody should aspire to be, is that person that can make stuff happen, right? Can get the ball in the end zone. Because a lot of people that just will do things and nothing really happens. Yeah. And then there's people that, you know, it might not be easy, but they get the ball in the end zone, right? They get it in the basket, you know, using sports. They know how to cross the finish line. But, I've had times where I didn't get across the finish line. I've had a business that I poured my heart and soul into probably 25 years ago. This was a long time ago. I was a lot younger, and I worked super hard. And for 2 years, I made almost no money. Fortunately, I had investments and things like that, so I wasn't destitute, but I had to close that business down and rebuild from there. And we all have things like that. In the book, The Breakthrough Code, one of the things that I talk about is that the universe is always working in your favor. And even that business that I closed down, and I didn't declare bankruptcy, I paid all the bills for it, and I invested a ton of money in it that I lost. But in that business, that launched where I am today. So whatever you're going through, whoever's listening to this, whatever you're going through, you can either use it or you can be a victim of it. But I get excited now when things get a little bit tough, because I just know, man, I'm going to milk the crap out of this, right? I'm going to use the hell out of it, whatever is going on right now.
Yeah.
Even COVID, when COVID first came, most of my business, and I've got, teams of people that were doing this too, but was traveling and going out and speaking and coaching. And then that went away. But I got excited, like, all right, I know I need to have a better online component of what we do. Now we're going to do it. And so, we actually broke records for our company, more revenue than we even had when we were out traveling. And it didn't happen month 1 or month 2. It took a few months to adapt, but then we just ran with it, and it was amazing.
I love it. Yeah. And I mean, speaking of your book, The Breakthrough Code, man, I'm so excited to get this. I just got it. So I haven't even started it yet. It just came in the mail. But it talks about this story about living a life without limits. And Tony Robbins, he endorses that book, and he says, it provides the blueprint to crack the code and live a life without limits. And it's endorsed by so many people. And so I'm so excited to get into it. But, what's that journey that you take readers through on this book? And what are those lessons that are learned in that?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I hope you do enjoy the book. I put my heart and soul into it, and it's a parable. So it's a story of somebody that, has a lot of talent, but is struggling and doesn't know what to do, because feels like, they've tried everything. And then through a series of experiences and diverse mentors. So like, it's not all the mentors are, buttoned up and squared away. I mean, they are, but they've gone through their own journeys, and they're pretty unique. So one of the mentors was even in prison, right? But now he's like this mentor, this very successful guy. So hopefully it's an intriguing story, and it's based around 3 principles that I do believe that if people embrace, they can live a life without limits. I think every day we wake up, and there's millions of possibilities for the day. We tend to gravitate towards the most logical possibilities, right? The most likely possibilities based upon the patterns that our mind is in and the actions we tend to take. But there's all these other ones that could be way better that people don't know how to access yet. And I want them to be able to access those. A great example is, and we don't know how it's going to play out, but over in Ukraine, when the Russians invaded, it was an overwhelming force, right? Compared to the Ukrainian army.
Sure.
Most people would have surrendered, try to get, best terms possible. But you have this guy Zelensky over there that said, no, I think the United States even offered to fly him out, right, to France. He goes, I don't want to ride. I want bullets. Like, we're going to win this thing.
Totally.
And he shifted the way people thought about it. He shifted the way that many countries thought about it, right? In terms of, I've never seen this many countries embrace sanctions as strong as they are, or send weapons. And, now it might be faltering a little bit, but the guy shifted the way he thought first, because everything happens first inside of any human being. Anything you see on the outside, the flag behind you, that was in somebody's mind before it was ever on a piece of cloth. So everything happens twice, first inside, then outside. And we've got 3 big principles and then several habits that will allow people to shift reality, to literally create a different outside experience for themselves once they embrace the breakthrough code, the 3 principles of the code.
So good. And people can go to thebreakthroughcode.com. They can take your free masterclass. I went through it. It's amazing. People need to go do that. It's worth your time to go and go through that masterclass, Tom. So thank you for putting that together, man. I really appreciate that.
No, you're welcome.
One of the keynotes that you talk about is breakthrough to greatness. And you mentioned, the old habits and patterns, they block people from realizing their potential. I mean, you walk through people through this three-step system that breaks them through that limitation, helps them achieve those results there. But can you deep dive into that system, and why is it that most people don't realize their potential?
I think most people don't know. I think most people are just addicted to being, part of the physical world where, if I can touch it and feel it, it exists. If not, then I can't count on it. That's not the way the most successful people live. It's just not. It's not the way that, when I was in my mid 20s and working with Tony Robbins, not the way he was running his life. He was constantly spending time in the non-physical world, in your mind, right?
Yeah.
And creating things with certainty in his mind, the same way we can do it in any of our minds. I work with 4 athletes that won Olympic gold medals. I mean, everything I was working with them was in their mind, was getting them to see themselves in a competition, playing at the level the highest level they could play at, and finding a way to win. And the breakthrough code really, the 3 principles are I call them big ideas, but number 1 is focus on less and then obsess. Can you be great at everything? Probably not. Can you be great at certain things? Can you create breakthroughs and some really important areas of your life? Absolutely. Can you create a simultaneous breakthrough in every area of your life where everything is all of a sudden at a 10x level from where you are right now? That's hard to do. I'm not saying it's not possible, but for most humans, when they're going about their day, they need to figure out, all right, what am I really going for? And then when I say obsess, it's not a conscious obsession. Like we think the only mind we have is our conscious mind, the one that we're thinking with and seeing and touching, and the senses are coming in. But we have another mind called the superconscious mind, or subconscious mind. A lot of people call it, that is 1,000,000 times more powerful than this clunky little conscious mind that we think that's all we have. The conscious mind, how many bits of information can the conscious mind process in 1 second? Give me your best guess. You might already know it.
I have I was going to say 10,000, but it's probably way more than that.
Like 40. It's 40 in 1 second. Boom, boom, boom. Pretty good.
Yeah.
But the superconscious can process 40 million bits of information per second.
Wow.
And so, like, honestly, most of the things that happen in my life that are like, whoa, it wasn't because I consciously was doing something. Yeah. It's because I had it in my superconscious. A great example is my son. And by the way, this also relates to the second big idea. So big idea number 1, focus on less. Like, what are your 3 things you want to create a breakthrough in? And then communicate them into your superconscious, so it's working all the time, trying to find the people, the resources, the ideas that all of a sudden just appear in your head. Like, where'd that come from? It came from your superconscious. But the second big idea is upgrade your story, upgrade your life. So I told my son, who he went to Harvard, was a basketball player there, and now he's in private equity. He was working on a deal to buy Forbes. And I told him, program your mind, your superconscious mind, to always be in the right place at the right time. I'm always in the right place at the right time. And so he knows how to go into an Alphastate, and he believes in the mind really big. And so, he did that for about a week. He calls me up. He said, Dad, you never believe what happened. I said, what? He said, well, I'm walking down the street, and he lives up in West Hollywood, and this guy's jogging, towards me. I didn't even notice him, he said. All of a sudden, this guy stops right in front of me. And my son's like, what's going on? And the guy said, hey, I don't know why I'm stopping, but something tells me, I don't know. I don't never do this, but something tells me I need to talk to you. And he goes, what do you do? And my son said, well, I'm an investor. And the guy goes, I'm an investor too. And they talked for a little bit. The guy didn't tell him too much about what he did, but he said, look, if there's ever a reason we should talk, let me know. And here's my information. He goes, because I still don't know why I stopped. I don't even usually jog in this area. He goes, I live in Beverly Hills. I usually jog up there, but something told me I needed to talk to you. And so my son goes back and looks him up, and the guy's a billionaire, and he runs a $4 billion private equity fund. My son calls him up. Hey, there may be a reason we should talk. And so they meet for lunch with my son's senior partners. And the guy goes, I'm interested, but I want to bring another guy to look at it too, because they were looking at it as an ed tech company, Forbes. And so he brings another guy in. They had dinner the following week. Both those guys committed $100 million each to the deal. Now, how did that happen?
Wow.
That happened because my son was focused, and then he programmed his mind to always be in the right place at the right time. And by the way, he has so many miracles like this happen because we just go, man, that dude is lucky, right? But there's a program.
Yeah.
And then the third thing, and so you can see this even in my son's, in what I just told you, he focused on less, really focused on finding capital, to close this deal, and saw it, felt it, believed it. He upgraded his story. I'm always in the right place at the right time versus you never know what's going to happen, whatever could have been in there. And then pack your day with effective action. When someone stops, talk with them, obviously effective action, and then follow up on that. And so those are the three big ones. There's lots more to it. I did it very, very quickly, but $200 million from a chance meeting on a sidewalk.
Wow.
So these are the types of things that can happen once you start following this program.
I love it. Oh, so good. And what a cool story for your son, man. And chance meeting, absolutely. One of the things that you also talk about is surrounding yourself with winners. And I'm big on find people that are living the life that you want to live and go get in their presence. Why is that so important for folks?
Because everything's energy. Einstein said everything is energy. Energy follows thought. People that are going big and have strong beliefs, that's just energy, and you can feed off that energy.
Yeah.
And your environment, the people you're around, even if it's virtual, right now, you and I are around each other, we're feeding off each other's energy.
Yeah.
And so, and just, you think bigger. When I got into, this realm with Tony Robbins, and then Les Brown is a friend of mine, and Jim Rohn before he passed away, and all these different people. I'm in a group with Jack Canfield called the Transformational Leadership Council that we have our meeting in July in Austin. You get around people, all of a sudden you start to see things, not that we're not great already, right? You're great already. Everyone listening, you're great already, but you just start to feed off of you start to see something that expands your awareness or challenges what you think is possible. And then all of a sudden you start acting in different ways.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
And then also one other thing I'll just say, Erik, on the network, most of the opportunities that you're going to get in your life are going to come through your network.
Yes.
So, that network will determine the level of opportunities that you're able to experience. And when you've got a low level network, you'll have opportunities, but they're not going to be game changing opportunities like a high level network.
Yeah. I've heard the quote, your network is your net worth. And, and it's so true. Always a fun question to ask, but what do you think is the greatest skill a human should have?
I think the ability to choose how you feel, because what happens is you're going to have things in life that most people go, oh, this happened, that's terrible. And when you look back on your life, if I look back on my life, when my dad passed away, that was really not great. Let's just call it, right. It was life-changing for my family. It really shook us to the core. I was able, though, I look back now and I go, wow, okay, that shifted me in a direction I probably would not have shifted in had that not happened. Had I not had that pain and sadness and grief, and just longingness of, wanting things to be different, right? That drove me to create a different life than I probably would have had it. Now, listen, I would have loved to have had my dad. He was an amazing guy. I never really got to know him, but people told me that he was just so amazing. So if I could have changed that, I would have. But also the life I got from it was unbelievable. I was starting businesses at 10, 11, 12 because I wanted to. We didn't have much money. We had a little government pension. I wanted to be able to provide for my mom. I was more empathetic because I had so much pain. I think it helps me in the work that I do now with coaching because I really, truly care about other human beings. I'm paid really well, but that's not why I do it. I want to see people grow and expand.
Yeah.
That came from the experience of having pain, but then changing the way I thought about it over time, and now using it as empowerment. And so I think if someone's going to win, that is the number one skill they're going to have to learn, is the ability to shift how you think when most people would go, oh, we're done, or this is terrible, or I'll never survive this. Like, that can't be your way of thinking if you're going to be a thriving, successful human being.
Oh, so true. I love that. And my background is, grew up in the broken home and had to fight my mom's boyfriend. I was 13. I was in jail at 18. I was bankrupt at 21, battled drug addictions. And, luckily God has blessed me with 17 years sober now. And I had to have that shift, of going, man, my past does not define my future. I can, make that change at any point. I love that.
Yeah. Now, most people think their past does define their future. That's what I'm talking about. When you can change your thinking like you did, and what an amazing story you are, and now you're helping the world, right? And you've got all these rich experiences that have enlightened you, right?
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, this has been such a great conversation, Tom. Thank you so much. I love this stuff, man. What's the best place that folks can connect and follow you on?
Well, I'm on Instagram, and it's it's the Tom McCarthy, not because I think that I'm like all that great, but Tom McCarthy was already taken.
Yeah.
And my friend Brian Tracy, I saw, he said, D. So I'm like, I'm going to add a D in that. Yeah, that's not taken. So Instagram, and we're getting ready to post several videos on how to get rid of thoughts and memories and experiences, how to take the energy out of them so you can move forward. So I think that'll be fun for people to watch. And then I'm on LinkedIn. I don't know what my handle is there, but if you look up Tom McCarthy.
Yeah.
And then a website. So thebreakthroughcode.com. So thebreakthroughcode.com, and then tommccarthy.com.
Awesome. And I'll put all the links down below too as well.
Yeah.
I love to end my show. I'm a big music guy. So I love to ask the question, like, what's a favorite type of music for you? Do you have someone that's like a favorite band for you?
For me, it's the energy, okay. and I like positive stuff, like, because we think, oh, I can listen to this and it's talking about, killing this, or, watching. I have a hard time with that, because your mind does have to consume all that. It has to, like, if you watch like a really brutal show or whatever, your mind has to consume that. Just the same way, if we eat a really nutrient deficient meal, like, our body's got to figure that out, right? Our mind has to figure out stuff. So I like super positive music. One song I actually listened to recently, and the beat's a little slow, but Willie Nelson wrote a great new song in terms of the lyrics. Energy follows thought, which has always been one of my mantras. Like, whatever you're thinking, your energy, because everything's energy, a thought's energy is going to follow that and make it more likely to appear in the physical world. So that's a pretty cool song that I've been listening to recently.
I love it. Tom, this has been such an honor to have you on my show. Thank you so much, man, for dropping so much knowledge. This is changing lives for sure. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Great being with you, Erik, and really wonderful hearing your story and how you're thriving and really changing the world. So I'm really proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for checking out the show today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to take a listen or a watch. It's truly an honor to be able to speak with such amazing guests, and I hope that they've made an impact on your life in some way, shape, or form. And you could do me one big favor that would be huge. Click that subscribe button, and then second favor, hit that share button. Thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate you. Keep changing the world. I believe in you.